and welcome back. I've had a busy day today. I just finished potting up my dahlia seedlings and also potting up some cuttings as well. So that was just my previous video before this one, and I still have some time in the day. And I am growing something today which I was not planning on doing so, and that is going to be Ageratum. I was not planning on growing this for my roadside flower stand and adding it into my bouquets or mason jars until I was just scrolling through the gardener's workshop, and she showed this really awesome bouquet mix that you could purchase, and it was like a nice red, white, and blue one. And it included Ageratum for the blue with some red zinnias and some, I don't know, some other whites. And it was just beautiful, except it was sold out, of course, because that was such a clever idea to get a red, white, and blue bouquet going. So I decided to go back to Select Seeds. I usually go there or Johnny's, but Select Seeds is actually in Connecticut. So it's pretty close to get to me in Massachusetts. Oh, and hey, if you're new here, my name is Christy. I am located in Western Massachusetts, Zone 6A, and my average last frost date is May 10th to May 15th, and I am going into my second year selling flowers at my roadside flower stand. Whew. Now that we got that out of the way, we are going back to what we are seed starting. So don't mind me, I am just like on a roll today. I have a roast in the oven. It smells so good in the house, and I just can't wait. So I have 3 different varieties that I am starting today. So I did want to get the blue so that way I could do a nice red, white, and blue bouquet, hopefully for the 4th of July. I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping I can get some red zinnias going. I wasn't planning on starting any red until a little bit later as a succession for the fall. However, I am hoping, but I'm not quite sure when my zinnias were blooming. I want to say it was probably after July 4th, but you never know. Or we could even try for Memorial Day weekend. So we'll have to see. But I am going to give it a go. And if not, I can find something else that maybe can substitute for around that time. So I did pick up the blue. And then they also had red bouquet and white bouquet. So I'm just going to start all of them. We're going to figure out where to put them. I'm trying to come up with my layout right now as to where I'm planting everything. I have 11 raised garden beds, and then I have like 4.5 tilled beds in the ground, which I was hoping to get some dirt delivered this weekend. However, they're not open for the season because there's still kind of snow on the ground here. So hopefully they'll get back to me soon on when we can get that delivered so I can get all of my snapdragons also planted out. Luckily, most of my beds, or at least my 11 raised garden beds, I top them off with soil in the fall, but my tilled beds, I only was able to do about 2 of them, but it's just, it puddles really, really bad over there. I'm hoping that I can mound the beds some more once I can get some of my 50-50 mix delivered. But back to Ageratum. So I'm hoping I can get these started. So I'm on the timeline. We are right now at 8 weeks before my average last frost date, and it says to start them anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm doing well there, or maybe I'm at 7 weeks now. I don't know. Either way, I'm still at the great time frame for them. They don't take long to germinate. It says anywhere from 5 to 10 or 14 days, depending on the seed packet. Johnny's says 7 to 14, whereas Selected Seeds says 5 to 10 days. Now with Ageratum, you have to take a look at the back of the seed packet because at least on the Select Seed packet, it says you want to have them at 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit when you are seed starting them. So I will be putting mine on a heat mat. I do place a probe in one of the cells so that way we can just have a nice constant temperature. But then it says to decrease their temperature to 60 to 65 degrees for further growing on. So I have my room set at about 63 degrees. However, once it gets warm up, it can get up to 68 in here. So I probably will move them into the basement where it might be a little bit on the cooler end. So we're going to have to play with that. But I think I would rather have it be a little bit cooler than too hot for them to grow on. These are very tiny seeds, so they will need light to germinate. I will just surface sow them, and then I like to just give them a good mist in. That way they'll have contact with the soil. You can also just gently press them in. Sometimes I find that they just stick to your fingers because all of my soil is pre-moistened. I am using ProMix potting soil for all of my seed starting, and I will just add some water. If you pick it up and you squish it and it stays in the form in the palm of your hand, then you're good to go. If you have water droplets coming out, it means that it's just too wet. Add some more soil, and then if it doesn't hold its form, just add a little bit more water to it, and then you will be good to go. So we are going to surface sow these water them in. I always add vermiculite. It gets very humid in here. I finally found my fans, so hopefully that will help with the algae growth, since it's going to be starting to hopefully warm up here in New England, because it has been pretty cold. And then you're just going to keep misting them until you see germination. You can take your humidity dome off and take them off the heat mat and get them under your grow lights without the heat mat. So we're going to get started. I do have a 40 cell count tray, which I will be doing all of my blue ones in. And I do have a 72 cell count, which will be for my white and red. I'll probably do more white than the red, because I feel like white is always great in all the bouquets. And yeah, we should be good to go. So I'm going to change camera angle so you can see, and we will get started. I'm going to start with the blue bouquet first. So again, I'm just using a 40 cell count tray. I have all of my soil in here, and I always like to press it down, making sure I get all of my air pockets out, so that way my seeds won't get displaced once I have them in here. We don't want them falling through any cracks, because they do need light to germinate. And they are like super duper tiny. I've actually never grown this before. I don't know if I said that or not. I'm sorry. It's been a day, let me tell you. So I am just going to do what I normally do if something is super small, like say snapdragons, feverfew. We did some yarrow the other day. I will just take the seed packet and I make a little crease, so I have a little point, and then I kind of just shimmy them down and then tap the sides of the seed packet so they fall out. I am not worried if more than one seed falls in. You can use a toothpick if you would like, to be a little bit more precise, but I kind of just say, why not have more flowers? And you can always try and tease them apart, or if you want, you can just take a pair of snips and you can thin them out if you choose to do so. Yeah, so I'm gonna get started. They are so small. I always try and get like 2 to 3 seeds in per cell, but we know that never really happens. Sometimes you can get like 3, 5, or more. But they kind of are super small. They kind of remind me of Rebecca seeds. Okay. But we are just going to do a lot of blue. I'm gonna try and see what I can time this with. As I mentioned, I would love to have a red, white, and blue bouquet. But I wasn't even planning for something like that until I saw it. So if not this year, then next year. And I'm thinking these also probably would have been great for winter sowing too. I have to do my warm loving annuals. I haven't started them. Last year I did, but we still have a night where it is going to get into the teens. So I'm not quite ready to start those until maybe next weekend. I think after this upcoming Friday, we will be good to go on the cooler temperature. So I have my mister right here. Oh, it's already good to go. So and I learned that I cannot have my seed packets near it because they're gonna get too wet. Since they are so small, instead of pressing them in, I'm just going to give them a really good water in. And I have found this has helped with anything small, with my yarrow, feverfew, Rebecca. This way they'll have good contact with the soil, and then you won't lose them on your fingertips. But then I'm gonna go back and do this again, because right now I need to find my vermiculite, which I always leave open, and I'm not quite sure how this fall over yet. And this is just a fine coarse, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over all on the cells. And this is just going to help with moisture control. I still get some algae, but like I said, I finally found my fans. But I got to figure out where I can plug them in, because now I need to find the extension cords for them. A lot of wires and a lot of outlets that you need with seed starting, especially if you have your racks all over the place. All right, so there we go for this. And then I'm just gonna water them in. It's just really gonna help that vermiculite settle in, so it's not like super dusty. And then we'll do our red and white varieties, and I'll get in closer so you can see, but I'm not quite sure how much you'll be able to see because of how small they are. But I always like to give a different camera angle just so you can see a nice visual of what they look like in case it's your first time as well. All right, so this is going to be good. We have our blue bouquet down, and we're gonna do our next one. So I'm going to get a humidity dome on this, put this under my grow lights, and then we'll do our next tray. So we have our 72 cell count tray, and I'm going to do this larger portion white, so from here to here, and then I'm going to do this second half in the red, which is kind of like a little bit more of a pink. So we have this section, and then we have the white. Now, it's always going to be fun, I feel like, trying to figure out where I'm going to put them. I'm going to show you how small these seeds are, so you can... But they kind of remind me of Rebecca seeds. They're super small, little tiny flakes, basically. And I, again, am going to take my seed packet and I make a crease right down the middle. It's a little bit harder when it's a little bit sticky here, but if you tap hard enough, they'll fall. And then I kind of like to shimmy them down my little crease. And then I'm just going to start over here and gently tap in. These ones you might be able to see a little bit more because there's like a little bit of a white tip. And I mean, these are getting way more than 2 to 3, but that's okay. I can always thin them out. But I would be lying to you if I told you I actually will. Okay. There we go. I might bring these actually to my winter sewing workshop so others can grow them. Since I wasn't really planning on starting them, I don't need all of these, and we'll see how I end up liking them in the future. All right, so we have our red, again, taking it, and we will make our crease, and then I kind of shimmy them down. Sometimes they get stuck in the corners, and I am just going to lightly, kind of getting stuck on the edge where it's a little bit sticky, tap them in. All right, and that's it. And there's so many left, which is great. Okay, so we are going to get our spray pump. Try to get some of that air out. And I am going to really, you can definitely see where I'm going over because the soil color will change to like a nice gloss. And I'm watering them in really well. This just ensures that they get some good contact with the soil. And when I am germinating any of my seeds, I check them in the morning and at night before going to bed. And I will keep remisting them if I see that it's drying out, because the worst thing you can do is let your seedlings dry out, especially when you're trying to germinate them. All right, so there we have that. It's nice and glossy, and I'm going to give them a layer of vermiculite, and then we're going to mist them in again. And this just makes such a mess. All right, so there we go. And then we're going to just get some of the air out of this and help settle the vermiculite by giving them another good water in. I mean, you can see that they kind of just go all over the place. I'd rather have the vermiculite spread everywhere on the table where I can clean it up instead of having it go all over my heat mats and my rugs. All right, this should be about good. All right, and there we have it. We'll get the dome on and on our heat mat at 75 degrees, and these should be all set. And just like that, we have another set of seeds off to the heat mat. I mean, I can't get over how much we have started since January or maybe even December, whenever we started Lizzyanthus. I think that was one of the first things that we started together. And I actually just put all of my ranunculus, starting to harden them off out in the greenhouse. So they were in the basement where it's about 55, 57 degrees, so a lot cooler. And my greenhouse has been averaging around 50 to like 60 degrees because it's still kind of cold out. Sometimes I even have to prop open the door a little bit to let some of that cooler air in. I'm not opening up the vents at the top quite yet. It'll automatically do that when it's 70 degrees in there, but just the door is good enough, and I have a little gate so none of the bunnies get in. But today's my second day hardening off ranunculus, which was great. It freed up a ton of space, so I was able to move a lot of my cool hardy annuals down to the basement where it is anywhere like 10 to 20 degrees cooler down there. So it's kind of like a nice gradual hardening off process where then they will go out into the greenhouse and then we will expose them again to hardening off to light. So it's like a 2-step system, now 3 with the basement. So it's kind of helping out, and I do need to clip my snapdragons. I decided I'm going to pinch them, except I was going to do that today, but I don't think I have time. I want to try and propagate the rest, but that probably won't happen tonight. So maybe I can do that tomorrow. So she'll see, or maybe next weekend. But some of them I had to. They were getting so dang tall. I just did and just chucked the tops of them. I didn't even think about propagating them, but oh well. So there's still plenty of snapdragons. I have so many. All right, enough said. I am going to head on down and get my pot roast ready to go for dinner tonight. So if you would like to stay updated with all things that we are growing, pretty soon we're going to get things out into the garden, my raised garden beds. I can actually work the soil. I want to get some radishes planted soon. Friday is our last day where it's going to maybe be in the teens, and then after that we are going to be in the 30s finally at a regular, frequent temperature at night, so I can, start getting things out into the ground like my ranunculus once they're hardened off. I'm hoping that Easter weekend maybe I'll be able to get them out. I got to expose them to the light still, so we're slowly getting there. I have my coneflower out there. Yeah, we have a lot. And thank you so much again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.